bridge we'll consider this morning is one in which we'll be replacing the left central incisor. The gentleman that had an abscess on tooth number 9, and we were required to remove it some 4 weeks ago. These are the study models of that individual. And you can even see on the distal aspect of tooth number 9, where the impression material collected, was the opening of the defect. The bone loss was approximately 9 to 12 millimeters. The tooth had been endodontically treated about 10 years ago, and we were required to remove it. And in its place, we will be constructing this morning a Syntro bridge, direct light cured composite bridge. This is the 4-week post-extraction impression prior to the construction of a direct light cured composite bridge this morning. We will be preparing each tooth simply by removing some of the stain. This gentleman loves his coffee and cigarettes, and so we'll be removing some of the stain from the lingual and mesial aspects, preparing the enamel, and then building the bridge. This will be the first time in which I'll utilize a prefabricated at the chair Pontic and utilize it in the aspect of placing it in toto into that spot and then fusing it to each tooth on either side of the space. A trade name or a name of a kit that could be constructed could be called Bridget. Bridge, B-R-I-D-G-E dash it. So these are the preliminary models. This morning we'll be completing a bridge for Mr. Stricker, and we will be doing this in a new technique. It'll be a traditional direct light cured composite bridge, and I'll be replacing the central incisor as you saw in the previous models. Today what I will do now is make a Pontic using a wax form, simply taking hot water, melting the wax, forming it around the area, the pre-impression, with the tooth intact. That gives me the form. And I'll be filling it with composite and fusing that with the light cure. And then we will have a Pontic prepared prior to placement or to the patient coming in. This will give us an advantage in the fact that I will not have to continue to layer and build up the impression or the composite material as you have seen in previous work. Taking some wax, pink wax, soft pink wax, and forming it very intimately with the contour of the tooth that used to be there. So this is a technique that we're trying out. I've done it before in replacing crowns that had to be removed for various reasons. And so I just take a little bit of warm water and press firmly so we get a nice adaptation. Cool it down a bit. And then I'll lift it off. Gently here. This is the pre-mold. It's a wax. And then what I'll do is I'll take the composite material, be using a yellow cube, and I'll be fusing it into this mold, and we will use this later on in the bridge work. Hopefully. This is an experiment. And so I'll just be coating a very light coating on the internal aspect of this wax mold, or wax form. I will next try a Omnivac. Let's get that. We don't need that this morning. And hopefully that will work. So I'll be layering gently as we go along here, making the Pontic. Obviously, the composite can be shaved and shaped so that it fits in that area, and all we have to do is get it to tack in, and then I can continue the bonding of the Pontic in place. So as it said, life is a grand experiment. Usually takes, when we do a Syntro bridge, takes about I'd say about 12 compules of the Prisma material. At least that's been my experience. And to date, I've not had any breakage, although I had a lady call in the other day. I did a cantilever that went from tooth number 27 and dovetailed into an existing crown on a root canal tooth. Though I don't advocate root canals or retention of them, she was not inclined to take that out. So she had a virgin tooth number 27, and I dovetailed it right into the existing crown. She called about a week after and said that a snap had occurred, or something had popped, and not really quite in those words, but the sound occurred when she was eating some French bread, which I explained to her that she probably wouldn't be able to do. However, people often do if they're told not to do. And so we're coming along nicely with the building of the Pontic. Continue to light it. Anyway, I chatted with her yesterday, and she said, no, the bridge isn't loose, it moves a little bit. But, and I said, did you see any fractures or cracks in it? And she said, no. So I'll be seeing her. This is the only occurrence I've had in a great many of the bridges that we've been doing. So I'm curious as to what's going on. Seems to be, I was in a lecture with Dr. Christensen, and he had mentioned the strength of the bridges as being quite formidable. Or excuse me, the composites, after you get to a certain point, the bridge, the strength was really quite enhanced. The material itself becomes extremely strong after about, I think, between 2 and 3 millimeters. And most of the Pontics bridges that I've been doing this way are far thicker. And so I've just about completed it to where I think it should be. Mr. Ken will come in at about 8 o'clock, so we'll begin at that time.